Yeah, so a little bit more detail about panel. So for the people that are not aware, so most of you as well of what we have done, but just like a little overview of how have we dealt with legal and ethical topics, specifically the distinction between game research, which was what we did, and educational tool, which we've been discussing as well in the previous sessions, and then some I already touched upon as well. So a little bit more detail on that, and then we'll have an ethics game. So yeah, the game was designed very much keeping legal and ethical principles in mind from the very beginning. We had the legal and ethical workshop to kick things off in the very beginning of the project. And this has influenced the scenarios quite significantly throughout the project. We also designed everything with GDPR principles in mind, so I already kind of illustrated before that we only, for example, collect sensitive elements when it's really necessary, when the work package 1 research, for example, has made it clear that this is a relevant risk factor that we must collect, and in those cases we make sure that there's an opt-out, so you can say I don't want to answer or I don't know. So this is kind of how we've dealt with a bit of the sensitivity. The baseline profile when you register to the game is not actually very revealing in the terms of, yes, of your character, but not of who you are. Like it's not an identifier. And we use what we call a strong pseudonymization approach, so which is also what I already explained, that we try to make sure that none of the Rayuela researchers can actually identify any specific child. And then all the other data that we have is really gameplay data. So this is quite revealing about your intentions, how sure you are about something, whether you're doubting. It reveals quite a lot for the analysis, but it's again not an identifier. Of course, we did all the piloting after ethics committee approval, so that's a relevant thing to keep in mind as well, that this all passed several ethics committees. And we also onboarded quite a bit of feedback from the Ethics Advisory Board and the European Commission during reporting period 1. And of course, we did a bit of legal analysis as well, not only of GDPR, not only of ethical principles, but also of certain cybercrimes that have also informed some of the scenarios. So they are kind of legally correct in terms of where to draw the line, what is a crime and what is not, both for minors as offenders, but also for minors as victims. Yeah, this is way too small, but the point here is that the main distinction I want to make, and I can actually keep it quite short because the ethics game is really fun to play, but the main distinction we have to make for the future, I think, is the game as a research tool, which is how we've used it so far, and then the game as an educational tool, which is what we're going to mostly be going for from now on, right? So like, well, this is maybe not entirely certain, but if we keep on using the game as a research tool, then we need to keep on having ethics committee approval. We have to have informed consent. We have to have a privacy policy because we are collecting data. It means also that there has to be a backend. This has to be hosted by someone. Someone has to decide what are we going to do with this information. In Rayuela, this has been, well, the consortium, and we've agreed that, okay, it's been Comillas and Tecnalia that have hosted this for now. They are the controllers. They are the ones deciding what we're going to do with this information. But so after the project ends a week from now, if there is a want or a need to keep collecting more data, to do more data analysis, and to use this as a tool to further inform policy, so not just to teach children or as a conversation starter we've heard, an educational tool, this definitely is possible, but if we want to keep on doing it for both purposes, to both educate but at the same time also collect data, then we need to keep on having these ethical and legal procedures in place. So it means that we have a protocol that makes sure that there's informed consent is gathered, the forms are used, appropriate information is given, people, children have the opportunity to ask questions, there's a right atmosphere where you can opt out and make sure that you understand, and that the confidentiality, the strong pseudonymization is maintained. Is this not relevant for education only? Well, it is. If you're going to play it in the school, you still probably want to ask the children that they want to play. You want to make clear that they can opt out, that they don't have to. All these things are still relevant, but you're not looking for research consent from a legal point of view, and you're not necessarily even looking for GDPR consent, because in that setting, we've like decoupled it from the backend. So there's no actual registration of data. So it's just a fun tool that can be just purely educational, can be a conversation starter, can be anything you want really. But there's no data collection anymore. So yes, the protocol could still be somehow relevant for a teacher to know kind of how to use it and how to introduce it. And we could write different protocols for different purposes. So I think that is the main distinction from a legal and ethical point of view that I want to make for people who are considering to use it in the future. Also, okay, if it's available through Europol, law enforcement will be able to use it. But as for now, I don't see that the research part can continue, but people could. I mean, there's nothing that, I mean, there was some talk, maybe we can have Rayuela too. Maybe this is a thing that we can actually go for, everything that is more to be researched. But for now, like I see the future of the game mostly as educational, because there hasn't been a very clear framework or a very clear structure on who might host a continuation of the research aspect of it. So that was kind of the main point to make. And then these are a couple of these lessons learned that we've already gone through. Yeah, I think, yeah, this we've already completely covered. So I'm going to skip that. This as well. This is a very interesting topic that we will publish an article on later this month, so next week, hopefully. Yes. So this is definitely something that I think needs to be discussed for, I don't think it's the right forum. So in the interest of time and in the interest of playing the ethics game, which is really fun and is group work and takes a little bit more time, I'm not going to deep dive into this, but just to say that we really see the need to further discuss consent, parental consent, assent, and research ethics specifically. Specifically also for online things, because it's very difficult to implement parental consent. We kind of stuck in Rayuela, which we'll have to explain to the Commission. We stuck to having it in schools, so a physical presence, physical foothold, because we found it very difficult to have a proper parental consent mechanism online. Otherwise, we could have just played the game online. Well, now the game will be online, but it will be without the data collection, so it's much less sensitive. But ideally, we had hoped to have like a massive market penetration where we could just play the game with whomever online. This proved to be very problematic, specifically because of this issue of where to draw the line for parental consent and how to then also implement the proper parental consent mechanism where you need it online. There were many ethical and legal questions that we found relatively difficult to resolve. Sorry. So this is just kind of a thing that we will probably do something else on. I think the main takeaway here is that if we do the game just for educational purposes, we could just put it online and we don't have to deal with this because there's no data collection. So it's perfectly fine to just use it in whatever way and just disseminate it online, which is an additional benefit to to have a bigger impact and bigger reach. But the game has probably a lot of potential for research purposes as well. So this is something that we may not want to forget about, that this is also something that it could be used for, but it would need a clearer framework. I've talked about this as well. So just to wrap it up, and I'm actually being very brief as promised, can the Rayuela series game be played in any school? Can it be played online? Yes, it can. I think we've really made a big effort to have ethics and data protection baked in. Could it be used for research? Yes, but we need still then a more defined context of how this is going to be used. For now, I think it's more educational purpose, the light version, so to say. Schools could play it by themselves. They could play it in cooperation with company. They could do, companies could take it to children. Law enforcement could use it as a tool. I think we've done a good job of making the ethics baked in so that it's low impact, low risk. I think that's the main solution, that for now, go ahead, play the game, use it as much as possible, but let's maybe also take a moment in the coming months, coming year, to think about whether we want to do more research on this and basically use what we already have to develop it further, to maybe have more scenarios and to set up a research setting for Rayuela as well, either within another Horizon Europe project, or 2020 Europe, or in a different setting. Because I do think that there's potential there that we shouldn't forget about. Ta-da!
So to take it from here with the ethics part, Peter already kind of said it several times that we're going to have an activity here. So a little bit, maybe we will just move around a little bit because I know the day has been really long and everyone is quite tired. So just moving around a little bit would help us. So please form groups, 6 people per group. You can turn around to your partners behind you or something, but you need to have a group with 6 people. 1 minute for this activity. Nicely done. No. So everybody can participate, so please find a group for yourself. Gregor? There's 7. Now, come over there. Yeah. No more than 6 in one group. So, do we have groups of 6 people? Yeah. So I think we have more or less groups of 6 people. So now I ask your attention back here. So what are we going to do? My colleague Kaisa-Maris Hagel, who is our new communication specialist, will assist me in this activity. And what we'll basically will do is exercise on practical philosophy. So as you all know, ethics is quite a big part of this project. We have been dealing with all kinds of questions of what is ethically right thing to do, and then maybe GDPR and data protection and ethics don't go hand in hand all the time. So this exercise would be like, what is the, we'll focus on question, what is morally good thing to do? And ethics is very hard to teach or deal with as a lecture. So we're going to do it as a discussion. This is where the most interesting insights and aspects will come from. And since the game is meant for schools and for police and everyone working with adolescents, then I think most of you already agree with me that what we are doing with adolescents when we are teaching something to them, it's never values free. And the idea that we are doing here also draws from the same idea. So, we're going to play a dilemma game. This will focus on values, ethical issues. You're going to be introduced a dilemma, and then you have to find a solution to it. Actually, you have to choose a solution to it. We have already provided you solutions, and none of them are perfect. I can already tell you. This is quite similar to real life, where you have to sometimes choose between a rock and a hard place. This is something similar. So in real life, it looks something like this. We have a newer version also. Today, since we're traveling, we have a lighter version of the game. So I'm going to just show you a little bit, and then you're going to be working on your own with my help and Kaisa-Maris's help. There's a story. There are 4 solutions, and you have to choose one of them with your group. So how we're going to do it, So how we're going to do it, there are 3 tasks for your group. You got number cards. So the first thing is that we will distribute, not yet, just listen to me, not yet, because I know that the cases are really interesting and will draw your attention away from me. So You will read the dilemma, you will read the possible solutions, you will get angry at the game makers, that why do you have such solutions here, but then you have to choose one for yourself. How would I behave in this situation if I had to solve this? And that's why you need the number card. So you're going to mark your solution with number card, not showing it to your team members in the same group. And then when everyone has chosen their solution, you will turn around the cards and you will see what kind of solutions you will have on the table. The second task is listening, which is, I think, the hardest part of values communication and solving ethical dilemmas, to listening what other partners have to say about the matter, because we all like to say what we think about things. So the second part is justifying your argumentation and listening your team members' argumentation. There is no discussion happening at this point. It's just listening to other people. And then the third task is, how would we as a group solve this situation? And this is where the discussion begins. And the aim is to reach a consensus. So you cannot vote in your group. You have to all agree with the solution, and then we'll move on. We have time for probably 2 dilemmas, and we're going to distribute them to you with Kaisa-Maris. And if you need assistance, just let us know and we'll come to you. So now I ask your attention back here. Makes me good. Oh, okay. So now I ask your attention back here.
Testing, test.
Good. Can you hear me now? So now I ask your...
You did a lot of homework at the moment. I would very much like to hear some reflections from your tables, because you had different cases and you worked in different pace. So some of you were faster and some of you were not so fast. So some opinions of what was going on in your group and what you thought about it.
We first had the post.
So let's listen.
So we first had our first case was about social media. We kind of agreed on that relatively quickly. We were between two options with like varying levels of how private we think things should be. We kind of generally agreed that we are all apparently people that like to keep things relatively closed off. So we agreed between option 3 and 4, keeping it completely private and closed group of friends. Then the other case was slightly more difficult, a big brother and a company that wants to set up a system to track employees. We had two people who felt this is a good trade-off because there's just so many people in their organization that shall not be named that won't do their job. And I guess we mostly agreed with that frustration that there are people who are not doing enough. We disagreed on how to do it. Like I think we don't even like almost all options were on the table.
What about the discussion part? How was the discussion in your group?
Very respectful. A little bit of backstabbing initially, but we'll go there.
I want to say something. I said someone in this team said, I completely disagree with what you're saying, but if that is the majority, sentiment, let's go with that. And I like that approach. It was a very kind of democratic approach.
We're not saying we're the best and fastest group, but that's what I'm saying.
Who was it?
There's a competition going on. About the discussion.
We can describe our dilemma because we were evenly split down the middle. So we had the case of the wolf and the kids. Everyone had the same.
Yeah, the wolf and the kids, yeah.
And we're evenly split between the option to eat only one of the goats and eat all of them. And the discussion came down to, well, I guess, just 2 or 3 key values that we were discussing. So on the one hand, there's this crime or delinquency that needs to be addressed or punished. So it was more about the scale. And then one of the options to use all of the kids obviously supports the notion of fairness. So you don't treat somebody equally. I am not a fan of collective punishment, so I was in that sense suggesting that we go with the ringleader and only that. But we had a really good. If you give me one, oh sorry.
Our discussion also with respect.
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
Sorry,
Don't mind you.
at the moment.
We were saying
At
that
the moment.
if you posed this discussion before lunch, the answer would have been But I want to make one point that Mary raised, which was really interesting and also a really good way of looking at these dilemmas. If you were to substitute the word eat for something less terminal, like you were talking about prosecute, or maybe even take them home to mommy and daddy, then your choice might change. So yeah, even split on the basis that, just couldn't quite agree.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can move to over there who had the same.
Okay, so we have a couple of ethical dilemmas. The first one was goats. They are quite confusing. So yeah. Then the second dilemma was who is listening? House. But now, like, not kidding. We tried to have really quite nice discussion, and there were two that picked number three option, and the other number two option. So I start with the three option. Why we pick it like to punish all of them except the smallest one. Because usually like this is how it's done with violent.
But who is that
like
one?
they try to separate the kids from the family or from the others. My defense was that the smallest ones are still in the like phase of socialization, so they can be re-socialized in a way, and still, if they are under 15, so still they should be treated not equally like the other goats in the bunch. The second option was to be more educational option one, like we will punish the first one, and then the other will likely to be paid. So, but at the end we couldn't have an agreement because it was quite a discussion. Some were thinking to switch to number three, some were thinking to switch into number four. So at the end, it was more about discussion, like to try to mirror these goals to a real situation, how we will handle with the kids. And it,
So we have two more groups who would like to share your experience.
I don't know, we had the recruited situation, and I really like the discussion. I think it was easier than when we tried to discuss the working.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think, but
Rayuela stuff for them, big brother.
So yeah, and I think it was nice because we arrived to a consensus, more or less. No, we convinced each other, and yeah, I wanted to add one thing, and they all wanted accepted it. So I think that they were generally doing this. And I don't know if you want to explain more.
We chosen number two, which basically is a hero. We weren't aware about the label. Of course, we are all heroes. But the thing is that we put in value also basically responsibility, independence, and all that. So we sacrificed something which related to this added sentence that Maria would like to want to be response, which is the sense of community or the shared values and the consensus in the company, not in the group, which is great.
Most of us have selected one option, but the dilemma was if it was going to be implemented a monitoring tool in a computer and to measure the productivity of the workers. And most of us wouldn't do anything because hopefully the weaknesses of the system itself will come out. And the last sentence we don't agree that much because if I do my job properly, I have nothing to fear. Well, I think I do my job properly, but in any case, I fear or bothers me that I'm constantly monitored in my computer. Another option that is ideal, we have thought that it was the most ideal maybe, is that I declare that you do not agree with that, and because it controls and limits your freedom. It has been just selected by one of the participants, but me and another one wanted to ideally select this one. and another person has selected that it would be help actually reducing the arguing about the workload and agree with the implementation of the monitoring system. So the majority have selected don't do anything, expecting the system to fail, hopefully.
Okay, thank you very much for engaging in the discussions and reflecting on what you did in your groups. The activity that we did is basically one of the methods to strengthen the ethical awareness and ethical sensitivity. And there are some questions on the slide that I would send with you to your communities and workplaces and so on. And I think in terms of time, I should probably conclude this workshop for today. And thank you very much, and give an applause to yourself.
I have a question. What do you think now about us?
It didn't change my opinion in any way.
And also, who won?
Everyone won.
No, this is not an answer. We're not leaving here like who won.
We are not gonna like the answer because we are the winners. Yeah.
We won.
Okay, this is working? Before leaving, just some closing remarks. First of all, important thing, who is coming tonight for dinner? Raise your hands.
Where are we going? Vote.
How many people we are? Huh? I don't know. What time? 7 p.m. is okay for everybody. 7 p.m. even for Spanish people. 7 p.m. in Spain could even be lunchtime. Can you say it again?
Something around home.
I mean, if this is fine with everybody, having dinner in a place nearby the hotel is also fine with me. Yeah. We can leave stuff there and we go for dinner. So Marilisa, we need you to reach a consensus. Some guys want to go to the city center, some guys close to the hotel. This is an ethical dilemma that I'm not ready to solve. No? Madalena, the dinner tomorrow is in the city center or not?
I do remember, so I will check, but I think it's in the city center.
I don't know. Thank you. Yeah.
Then you already chose?
No, we have to do it. Okay, I don't know. The event is still live streaming. The event is still live stream, or we are. The event is still live stream. The event is still live stream. Are we online? This. Okay. This is only Zoom. So, but is there someone from outside connected?
No.
No. Okay. So we can speak calmly here.
I think close by is okay for everyone.
So yeah,
Early so we can get a good lesson.
Okay, so how many people are we here? 4, 5, 10? Yeah, but everyone, I mean, if I call the restaurant and say, okay, we are going everyone, they are not going to be able to book the table for us. Yeah, we have to know how many people. 10, 12, 15, 17, 19, 20, 23, 25, 29, 31. Okay, we can say like 35, more or less. That's a big group, yeah. We will send the info via WhatsApp, okay? Before leaving, thank you guys, the IT team, for being. It was amazing, and we really appreciate that you were so flexible with these last minutes. That I mean, shame on us for sure. But thank you for understanding. And I'd also like to send big thanks to our invited speakers. I mean, you did it great. Thank you, everybody. Also, the people who has been online, although this is not reaching them. Thank you all for the great work you did to help us prepare this workshop. And since you guys finished, Peter and Marilisa, thank you, because you know, when at the beginning of the project, I was very worried about ethical and legal issues. I have to say that they have been a headache during the project, but thanks to you, we solved them in a very straightforward way. And even more, I never thought that playing ethics and legal, dealing with ethics and legal issues could be so fun as you made. Thank you, guys. Okay, 35, 7 p.m. in the lobby of the hotel, and we try to look for something nearby. Maybe we can go. Is it big, the one you were yesterday?